Welcome to Living the Smarter Science of Slim, where we provide a scientifically proven lifestyle for long-term health and fat loss by eating more and exercising less, but smarter.
Eat smarter, exercise smarter, live better. I am so ready for that.
Hey everyone, Jonathan Bailor back with another bonus Smarter Science of Slim podcast. Very pleased to be sharing today's guest with you. She is a wonderful naturopathic physician based out of Canada. And one of the reasons that I really wanted to share her work with you is that she focuses a lot of time and a lot of energy on hormone metabolism and lifestyle medicine. And you know, Smarter Science of Slim, we're all about looking at hormones. So I figured, why not call up the Dr. Kelly Austin, clinic director. She is the clinic director of California Natural Health, and you can check her out at nhealth.ca. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for having me.
Well, I have a silly question just right off the beginning.
Sure.
So your clinic is called California Natural Health.
Yes.
But you are located in Canada, correct?
I actually have two offices, or actually three offices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's the catch. I was like,
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yes. Yeah. I'm actually working in two different countries at the same time. So I do have a clinic in Canada, and I still maintain a lot of my patients in Canada. And I also have my two San Diego practices.
So do you just have a helicopter? You just fly back and forth?
Oh gosh, I wish. Yeah. I don't think you get into this profession for the money.
Well, no, that's one of the things I noticed, Kelly, when I was doing a little background research with you and on you, and you noted how you spend anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes per patient. And I really wanted to just take a step back. And so often we hear people giving the medical profession a bad name. And it seems like what you're trying to do in your practice, really more focusing on the person, focusing on individualized treatment, focusing on holistic medicine. Can you just tell us a little bit about what inspired you to take that type of an approach?
I guess I've always been interested in health. I think it's been something that has always been a part of my life. So I never really thought anything differently about going into like a field that studied more nutrition versus more of a medicalized approach. So for me, it was just something that I always knew I was going to do. I didn't know the actual profession of naturopathic medicine existed until I was about third year through university. So I knew I was going to do something in the medical field. I thought maybe it would be just going into something more like speech pathology or genetic counseling or something along those lines. But after I found out about this naturopathic medicine profession, I found out that just basically everything involved in it. I thought it was such a perfect fit for me. I've always been an active child, into dancing and soccer and all of those fun things. And nutrition has always been a big part of my life. Unfortunately, as a vegetarian for 17 years, we always think that that's the best thing. We had always thought that that was the best thing for us. And for some people, it still is. But when I kind of started learning more and more recently about the paleo lifestyle and getting into that realm, it's really opened up a whole new avenue for a lot of not only myself, but a lot of my patients. So I really think that it's been instilled in me. And I think most naturopathic doctors would agree with this statement that it's a passion, it's a calling, it's something that you just kind of, it's in you. It's something that they just walk the walk and talk the talk. If you look at the people in my class, they're all super fit, super healthy. Some of the I think some of the most fit people you'll ever see are naturopathic doctors. So they really take care of themselves well. So they're good people to see.
Well, Kelly, you have it seems like we're kind of cut from the same cloth in a sense, because when you look at your bio on your website, which is, again, it is the letter N, health.ca, you talk about, obviously, your focus on hormones, talking about how hormones all work together, how each hormone is interconnected. So doing things like, well, what about my thyroid? Or what about just insulin? Like, it's just insulin. If you could just control insulin, that's all that matters. How do you communicate the importance and interconnectivity of hormones to your patients? I mean, obviously you're spending quite a bit of time with each of your patients, but that's still a pretty complicated subject.
Yes, simplifying endocrinology is definitely it's in the works. It's not such an easy thing to do, but like you said, I do have a lot of patients that spend so much time with me, and I spend with them, so we have time to do it. So I think at the end of my visits, what I try to do with my patients is ensure that they know endocrinology 101. So when they walk out, a lot of patients know a lot more about endocrinology than a lot of other healthcare practitioners do. So it's pretty amazing. My patients are really a great group of people, and they want that knowledge. They want me to explain to them why they have to take a certain thing, or what's going on, and they want to know why something has happened to them. So if you just say, okay, well, let's balance your blood sugar, that's not good enough. They want to know, well, why do I have a blood sugar problem in the first place? Or if they say, well, I'm overweight and I can't lose weight, why is that? They want to know what's going on with my hypothalamus. They don't want to just hear just my estrogen's low. They want to know, why is my estrogen low? So I always I have this diagram and I explain through all the hormones with them, and I show them what some of the basic hormones and what they do, and I show them how when one hormone goes off, how it affects another, and how it's a whole domino effect. And I just I use a lot of diagrams and just try to make people really engage in it. And I think people really respond well to the treatments when they know exactly what's going on and how to treat or how I'm going to treat them long term, because then they say, okay, so it's not a quick fix, so I need to do this in order for B to happen. And I'm like, exactly. So then they know.
Well, wait a minute here, Kelly. Hopefully you can hear the sarcasm in my voice here. Wait a minute here, Kelly. You're talking about endocrinology, and I heard you say the word hypothalamus, so that's even some neurobiology. Isn't this just a question of math? Isn't this just a question of people eating too much and exercising too little? If they just eat less and move more, basically stop being so lazy and gluttonous, it would solve the problem, right? It's why are you making it more complicated than it needs to be, Kelly?
I know. And you know what? You wouldn't believe how many people come in, and that's exactly what they think they're going to get from me. They think that they're going to sit down and they're like, I'm sorry, I couldn't hit the gym as much this week. Or they always tell me, I'm sorry that, I slipped up and this slipped into my diet. And I actually did a lecture on Sunday at a local health food store, and a nutritionist was in the audience. And when I made a comment to eat an avocado, and then someone said, how much? And I said, just eat the whole avocado. And she was not impressed with me. She shook her head and made a whole big thing. And afterwards, she said to me, you know what, I'm a nutritionist, and I don't think you gave the best advice there, telling someone to eat a whole avocado. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I said, and I just kind of let it go. But people don't realize that sometimes it's too much exercise, or not enough sleep, or not enough calories that cause a lot of their hormones to go off.
Well, and Kelly can't. I mean, if I do eat some of this garbage food, can I just exercise it off? Right? I just burn those calories off, because it's all just about calories, right?
Yeah, in medical school, that's what we taught, and we're taught. And maybe that was a long time ago for me, so maybe that was just times have changed since then, and we know better. Maybe we're being taught better things in medical school now, which I'm hoping. But right, it was quite shocking. I had to learn a lot of this stuff myself, and through conferences, because even when I go to a lot of medical association conferences, and even in naturopathic medical conferences, this stuff is not really really taught. It's a lot of stuff that hopefully you have a doctor who keeps up with research and who likes to learn this stuff, because or else you just really have there's a disconnect between the knowledge that exists and the knowledge that doctor or practitioner has been taught usually, and you just have to find somebody who has a passion for this and can keep up with with the research, so in order to basically give you the best treatment protocol for you.
Kelly, I think you really nailed it there when you said physicians basically doing the best they can with what they've been taught. Right. Truly, I mean, I can empathize with that. When I was a trainer, that's what I was taught. So I just told people, you need to eat 1,200 calories a day and do a lot of exercise. But right. How can that still be what's taught? Like, truly, it seems so. It would be as if individuals who are going to become engineers were taught that like gravity didn't exist, like saying that hormones have no
Right.
bearing, or the brain or your hypothalamus is just passive, and that if you eat less, the body just doesn't do anything. You just burn fat, as if like the body doesn't just slow down. Like when you eat less, the body slows down, and when you eat more, the
Right.
body speeds up. That's been
Right.
demonstrated in every single study that's ever measured it ever. It's not controversial. So how does
Mhm.
that not get said?
I know it's really silly, but if I think about it, even from my point of view, how I didn't learn this, it wasn't until I read Good Calories, Bad Calories that I realized that, oh, there is something off here. But it's just been, and that's myself, and this is my specialty. So can you
Hmm.
think about medical doctors or other practitioners that they don't really know anything about nutrition? They're not taught much about nutrition, and their main focus is maybe on something else. Maybe it's immunology, or it's just having a general family practice where they see a lot of people, like an ear, nose, throat doctor. For them to actually learn this stuff and know this stuff and to take initiative and even know something like good calories, bad calories exists out there. It's just not in their world. It's not in their radar. And through the media and through, so many outlets out there, this is just not known. It's not taught. In our community, it's so easy for us to say, yeah, this is obvious because we've been part of it for so long, and we're the group of people that we're kind of all becoming this nice community. We all can support each other and say, yeah, we know the truth. But and then when more and more people join this community, we finally realize, wow, they saw the light. So it's kind of neat when these people are actually, we see the community growing, even at like Paleo FX. More and more people we're there this year compared to last year. And so the community is growing and people are learning about it. And that's actually what drew me to this community so much. Was I figured this community is one of the most they're very similar to me. They like to research. They like to self-experiment. They like to be they're front runners. They're people who know what they should have been doing. They maybe were a vegetarian in the past, maybe a marathon runner. They had all these experiences, and now they know that this is not the way to go. And they don't have that rigidity. They were able to say, okay, something I was doing was not right. I didn't feel well doing it. Can I take the chance and try something new? Can I eat a piece of chicken? Can I eat a grass-fed steak? What can I do to kind of get myself there and to let go of that rigidity, or even that identity as like a vegetarian or as a triathlete or a marathon runner, to give yourself permission to just basically say, I don't need to do that to myself. I don't need to pound myself into the ground to be healthy. To allow your body to basically just function the way it needs to function without constantly doing something, being something, constantly always just kind of drilling and being so hard on yourself. I think that's a big lesson for a lot of people to learn. And I think being a part of the paleo community has helped a lot of people realize that message.
I love that you use the term hard on yourself, Kelly, because I wanna give you props here, because a couple things you just mentioned. First, you came right out and said, this was my profession, and until I read Gary's book, I really didn't know any of this stuff was going on. There's a lot
Right.
of people that don't then say, so they said two things happen. One, Gary's not a doctor, so I don't care what he says. He's not a doctor.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to disregard his work. I've certainly had that happen to myself. I'm not a doctor. So people are like, well, clearly he doesn't know how to read either because he can't read research studies. But so not a doctor. And then just the whole cognitive dissonance. So, I mean, you're not, certainly other doctors have heard of this and they dismiss it as quackery, or they dismiss it as unnecessary. What was it about you that enabled you to say, you know what? Maybe this is right, and maybe I need to adjust my practice because of it, because not everyone does that.
Right. And I think it's being flexible and being able to look at other people's point of views, and just having the personality type to do that. And I think a lot of people in the paleo community have that sort of flexibility where they can do that. Maybe not at first, but for me, even myself, I sat on the research after I read that book. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't say, wow, based on that, I'm going to change my practice. It took me some time to say, okay, based on this research, let's look what else is going on out there. And then that's where I came into to find many other podcasts. I found Paleo. I looked at so many YouTube clips. I read so many other books after that, just to kind of understand what was going on. And to be honest, I was shocked that this whole community existed and I didn't even know anything about it. So I felt kind of embarrassed, and I'm really embarrassed for a lot of my colleagues or other people who don't even know about this, especially now living in California. It's very well known here. So it's a big difference, I think, if you went here versus somewhere maybe somewhere else, but definitely in California. I don't want to offend anybody, but definitely in California, I think people here tend to be a little bit more proactive about their health. So most people know a little bit now about paleo.
Well, and Kelly, I think you hit the nail on the head there a little bit too when you mentioned or implied there's potentially two ways an individual who is in any kind of, not necessarily a doctor, but a trainer, anyone who's in a position of authority and they're supposed to be the expert. You could imagine that person being results oriented, which I believe you are, which I believe I am, which I believe individuals such as the paleo community are. They're just saying, I just want to help people and get results. And if that means shelving my ideology, that's fine. I'll shelve it. Like I'm here to get results and to help people. But there's also another school of thought, which is much more, let's call it prestige oriented or ego oriented. Maybe ego oriented is better, right? This is what we've always done. This is what it is. This is the rule. This is the doctrine. And the focus is not on results, because if the focus was on results, I hear stories all the time, Kelly, and I'm sure you might get this from patients who come to you after being dissatisfied with their physician, where they do something. A great example was Jimmy Moore's recent podcast with a less than friendly doctor who came on his show. And Jimmy's just saying, hey, look, I'm eating away and I'm getting these results. And that doctor sat there and said, I don't care. What you're doing is wrong. Kelly, if I spoke to someone and they told me and they showed me a food log and they said, all I'm eating is Doritos and Coca-Cola and every metabolic indicator I have has improved, I would say, oh my God, you must have some genetic mutation and keep doing that. Like all I want is for you to be healthy. So what is that? Like, why are there people like you? Why are there people that are results oriented, and why can't, or how can we help people that are more ego oriented change, or can we?
Right. I know, it comes right back to like Myers-Briggs personality tests, just kind of learning who, if you really, before you see a practitioner or a doctor, you want to find out, is this somebody who's going to be rigid? Is this somebody who's going to be able to keep up with the research? Is this going to be somebody who can take my health to the next level, who's going to be a leader and who can work with you, who can give a little bit and also take a little bit? And that's hard. And I think that's where you see the most successful practitioners are people who have that flexibility, who's maybe somebody comes in, and a lot of times I'll bring up paleo very gently to someone who I think it would be good for, and I've had so many people cry in my office and say, this is everything completely against everything I've known that I've done for my whole life. You expect me to change my whole life, and you just have to put it in very gentle terms and kind of tell people you don't have to do anything overnight. This is just a philosophy, a new way of living. And if you don't want to do it, or you just want to take it step by step, we can do that with you. So a lot of people have that all or nothing thinking, and that's the problem. They just think I have to do this overnight. I have to be this way, and I have to constantly work towards this goal. And if I slip up once or have a problem here and I don't know what I'm doing, it's failure. And just working with the patient and you being their coach to be able to say to the person, it takes time. For me, it was I was about a year on paleo before I really felt like, okay, I got 100% of this stuff, most of it under control, and I'm still learning as I go through this. So it's not something that people have to do overnight, but it's just having that flexibility and of a doctor being able to meet the patient where they are.
Kelly, what are your thoughts on one of the things, again, that I really respect about you and other practitioners such as yourself is you're essentially and openly in the business of putting yourself out of business because you are not just giving people medication to treat symptoms. Your practice is, I mean, in some ways, it's almost like a self-defeating business because, right, you're actually seeking to teach and educate individuals to not need you anymore.
Right.
So what kind of business model is that?
I know. That's why they probably don't teach us business in school because they figure, oh, you're just going to put yourself out of business anyways. But yeah, you know what? It's a funny profession in terms of that. But I never feel like I'm putting myself out of business because I always feel like people need that guidance and people need a coach. Some people need somebody to be beside you. Even the most dedicated person who's 100% and who has their head screwed on correctly and who could say, I can do this. And they don't, which is very few people that I know. Most people want to come back in every year or every 6 months and check on their biomarkers. They want to see what are their hormones doing. They want to see in the last couple months, what are their insulin levels? How are their cholesterol markers? So people love this stuff. My patients, biohacking is one of our favorite things to do. So I love it. So I don't really feel like I'm ever putting myself out of business. And the other thing I feel is that things change so fast. People know when they come to me, I'm going to have a whole bunch of new things for them to do. It might be 3 months down the road, maybe 6 months down the road. But whenever I see my patients, that's one thing that they always say to me. Every time I come here, I learn something new. So, so that's what you always just try to do. Just keep up on the research and give people something new, something that they can work on. And like I said, maybe it's in a 1 month mark, a 3 month mark, maybe 6 months. But my patients usually always return.
It reminds me of the difference between, well, let's put it this way, for up until maybe 20 years ago, the entire discipline of psychology and psychiatry was about taking people with severe mental disorders and just bringing them up to normal. So it was like going from a -5 to a 0. That was the whole profession. Right. And I think the traditional medical profession, or maybe the way it's perceived, is if you can get everyone to a 0 physically, the medical profession goes out of business because it's all about treating sick people. It's all about taking you from a -5 to a 0. But I think what you're doing, and I think what the new generation is seeing and pushing towards, is you should never be at -5 ever. Right. And in fact, you should still go see a physician because the physician is your trusted counselor to take you from a 1 to a 2 to a 3 to a 4 to a 5. So to take you from not bad to good and from good to great, rather than from horribly sick to horribly sick with the symptoms under control, which is what it does today. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Oh, completely. Because a naturopathic doctor we have preventative wellness. That's what we're trying to do. Optimal health, maximize your health potential. That's really what we're really focusing on. So there's a time and a place. I think like we're medically trained. I can do prescriptions if I needed to, but I try not to. I always try to do lifestyle changes as much as I can first. And we're not silly about it. If somebody needs a medication or somebody's stuck with something, I'll definitely prescribe to buy us some time. But for the most part, I end up usually weaning people off if they needed something to start, and they get themselves healthier when they see us. But yeah, it's just a different medical model, like you said. It's a sickness model versus a wellness model, and this is nothing new. So it's very similar to how you're saying, how do people not know this? The same thing when I was in high school and I thought wellness model. This is not, for me, it's nothing new, where we're still telling people, if you go to see a medical doctor, what are they going to do? They're going to give you a prescription. It's a sick model. This is what we're hearing all the time. And it's kind of coming out now, especially now with all the healthcare stuff everyone's talking about, but that's all politics too. But yeah, it's just different models. But this is something I've always known and always basically adhered to, is this wellness prevention model.
Kelly, certainly every individual is different and all patients need customized treatment. But if you could give our listeners a gift of 3 tips that they could get the most bang for their buck, so the least cost, most benefit that you've seen not only in your research but also in your practice, what would those 3 tips be?
Ooh, I should have prepared for this one. Okay, let's see. Especially what I've learned maybe over the last couple of years. I like to tell my patients, I really focus on, everyone knows like their sleep, the exercise, and nutrition. Those are the three big things. My order of preference is sleep's number one, then nutrition, then exercise. So would you wake up at 5 o'clock on a dark morning to get in your exercise when you only are going to have 6 hours sleep? No. So the biggest thing is get in your sleep. Sleep's first. So I always tell people, get your 8 hours sleep and sleep seasonally. So if it's summer, you might be able to stay up a little later. If it's winter, make sure you're in bed earlier. So get in your 8 hours sleep prior to exercise. The second thing I would say is try to figure out what foods really you're having intolerances to and eliminate those. That's what's so great about Paleo. Give Paleo a try for a month, 3 months, whatever you can do. Doesn't have to be 100%. No one can do it initially right away, I don't think. I think a lot of people need to kind of do lateral shifts. So, but definitely find out what your food intolerances are. You can do a test, you can do an elimination diet, but as long as you find out what food intolerances you have, eliminate those foods. It'll make your quality of life so much better. You'll have more energy, usually brain fog's eliminated, and you sleep better. And then I would also suggest people get their hormones balanced. That's one of the biggest things. Just a lot of doctors won't run your hormones for you. So you can do a lot of these things online yourself. I know in California you can. Or just find a practitioner who is able to run full hormone panels for you, very extensive hormone panels, and make sure your hormones are working well, especially for young people who've really killed their body with a lot of exercise and dieting and low calories just to be pretty fit. Now when they get into their 30s and they want to have children, they realize they have no hormones because we basically burned ourselves out and now we have no fertility. I see so many patients in this boat. So I always tell people, especially now if you're in your 20s, you're given a gift. Take care of yourself, take care of your hormones, because in another couple of years' time when you want to have children, you're going to have good hormones. You're not going to be in the same state as a lot of 30-year-olds that I see now that we've been taught, like you said, exercise more, eat less, and now our hormones are gone. So it's unfortunate that we've been raised that way, but we just listened to what people told us to do. We didn't know better.
And those side effects of starvation certainly are pernicious, aren't they? That's just for years and even generations. It's very sad.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
But there's good news, and we can't end the podcast on a sad note. The good
The
good news is we can just throw sleep at the problem. You don't need to worry. Just sleep more. I mean, what kind of better? I mean, like, folks, seriously, like what Dr. Austin just told you is instead of being like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out because I didn't, you should just sleep more. Just sleep more. That's the easiest thing you could ever do. Get better, high quality sleep. I love it.
Yes, that's it. Just go to sleep. And yeah, I know it's funny. I was just looking at a meme the other day, and it just said, "Oh, I have so many things to do. How do I handle it?" And it shows somebody just sleeping on the couch because most people they want to hide away, but at the same time, sleep it's a coping mechanism for a lot of people for stress relief too. So you can't beat it.
I love it. I love it. Well, her name, folks, is Dr. Kelly Austin. She is the clinic director at the California Natural Health series of clinics. She has 3 of them, which is cool. And you can learn more about her at nhealth.ca. And Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. It's absolutely a pleasure.
Thanks, Jonathan. It was really fun.
Thank you again. And folks, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. And remember, this week and every week after, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. Talk with you soon.
Wait, don't stop listening yet. If you like the podcast and if there's other ways we can help you, please join us in the Smarter Science of Slim support group, which is freely available at the Smarter Science of Slim website, smarterscienceofslim.com. There you'll find all kinds of free recipes and success stories and just all kinds of fun stuff like how to help your kids go sane and just great community content.
And just one last thing before you go, if you wouldn't mind heading over to iTunes and up onto Amazon.com and leaving us a review, and then going over to Facebook and liking us, we would hugely appreciate it.